Just today, we've had a whole bunch more reprints from PRB02 confirmed. In this video, we're going to be going over what's been confirmed, what I'm hoping for, and also some new cards that revealed last week out of PRB02. So starting off, we've got both of the set 6 secret rares confirmed. This is Zoro. We've seen this in Bonnie. This is an option in green Zoro. We've also seen this in some rogue green decks like Jinbei. This is currently sitting at $17 or £12. So if you can afford to wait till October, I'd definitely wait on this one. This card very much more of a tech at the minute, but a really good card nonetheless, and one that I'm happy to see be reprinted. We also have Sanji, who is now the better of the OP06 secrets. This is currently sitting around $23 on TCG Player, and just under £17 on Card Market. Mostly seeing play in blue-purple Luffy, although you do also see this in decks like Marco sometimes. Definitely one that's needed to be reprinted. 23 bucks for a secret is just a little bit higher than I would really like to see. We also had confirmation that Basil Hawkins from OP10 is being reprinted. I think OP10 is very likely the last set that we'll see reprints from in PRB02. PRB01 included up to OP06. For PRB02, OP10 I think makes sense, so I very much doubt we'll see any OP11 cards reprinted in this, or sadly EB02. This new alt-art Basil Hawkins looks pretty cool though. If you're a yellow kid main, I'm sure you'll be wanting to get your hands on these. Next up, we've got the ST17 lore. This was actually confirmed way back, but we now have the visuals of the new alt-art. This card, not worth much, around £1 or just over $1.50. Was very popular in Dofi. Dofi's now fell off, but if you're still a Doflamingo or Boa Hancock enjoyer, this new alt looks pretty clean. We also have an alt of Lime Juice for some reason. Lime Juice is a 2k that you're playing literally just Shanks, but he's getting an alt. What a time to be alive. This alt looks kind of badass though, man. This guy's aura looks pretty sick. I'm digging it. And we've also got Jesus Burgess, and this is a sick one. I hate this card. I'm not a Blackbeard enjoyer, but man, this alt looks super clean. This is him in the Corridor Coliseum. Man, maybe it's going to convert me. If you're a Blackbeard player, this alt looks sick, and one I think to be quite excited for. We're also getting an alt of the OP10 Zoro. This is the card that you used to play in Usopp. Usopp not doing too hot anymore, but with a couple of buffs, I think Usopp could come back into the format. This alt's really nice, so if you're an Usopp fan, or even just a Zoro fan, this will definitely be one to add to your collection. We've also got the Tony Chopper alt art. This was one that I really was quite surprised that didn't get an alt back in OP10. Really good in RG Smoker still, and RG Smoker is still a relevant deck. Was also very good in Shanks. It's just generically a very good red 2k. And I'm pleased he's finally got an alt, because I always felt like this one really should have got one over some of the other choices from OP10. But hey, at least PRB02's got our backs. And this will probably get an extended version as well. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of like this regular artwork. So I'm excited to see what the extended version of this looks like. Here's a big one. Uso Hachi. Uso Hachi has been one of the most expensive commons in the game for a while. Only reprinted in one starter deck. I was really hoping this would get reprinted in the purple black Luffy starter deck. It didn't. They decided to give us our 1 millionth Franoske reprint, but here we are. This guy is currently sitting around $10 on TCG Player, or £4 on Card Market. We knew this was getting reprinted as a common from last weekend, but here's the new alt, and this already has an SP, but that SP is very, very pricey. So if you want to bling out your Luffy decks, but can't afford the SP, this will probably be a slightly more affordable way to do so. Looks really nice. And we'll probably get an extended version as well, which I imagine will be quite cheap because the base art is not that great. But this is definitely one of the commons that needed reprinting the most. And I'm so happy that I'm not going to have loads of Usahachi proxies in all my decks anymore. I can just buy enough commons to fill them all out. Newgate, 7-cost Newgate. Not very popular at the minute. Was very good in, it's like Shanks. And also pretty good in Marco. Not been seeing so much success so far in OP11, though I have been hearing it's still very popular in Marco, and Marco is a bit of a sleeper deck at the minute. This guy is sitting around £3 or $3. Not the craziest reprint, but definitely one that's good. And also from those starter decks, we got the 9-cost Shanks. This is a fairly popular pick in Bonnie. Also an option in green Zorro, although you don't see it very often. One of the best green top end we've seen printed in a while, and this is sitting around £4 and $4 on the market and the player. This alt, I can't lie, kind of just looks like the regular version from a different angle. Bro turned the camera. It's crazy. I'm not huge on this alt, but glad that it's getting a reprint nonetheless. And here's one that we really expected, but we didn't know, but this should quash the rumors about EB01 not getting reprinted at all. Finger pistol, finger gun. This is very, very good in Blackbeard. Also has Sin Play in Lucci decks. And this is, I believe, the most expensive set rare in the game. Sitting at $8 on TCG Player and around £4 on Card Market. Really, really overpriced for what it is. But really glad this is getting reprinted for all the Blackbeard players to build their decks more cheaply. And this alt looks so clean, man. This alt looks insane, man. I'm digging at this. I'm definitely going to be looking to get one of these for my collection. Huge fan of this one. Let me know what you think of this one down below. And some other reprints we're getting. We're getting the 5-cost Croc reprint, which is, this card's fine. It's like a very sort of niche tech option in Buggy. This is a promo for the 2v2 battle, I believe. But glad he's getting a reprint nonetheless. Bonnie Searcher is one that is incredibly expensive in America. And this sees play in, of course, Bonnie, but also in GY Lore. Now, one thing to note with the reprint of this, it's not getting an updated block number. So this will still currently be rotating in April. However, getting a reprint to sort of tide us over until that point is really nice, because this was previously only in Starter Deck 2, which has not had a reprint in a while. Buggy, for some reason, is getting reprinted. I have seen this seeing a little bit of play in Rayleigh builds recently, but I'm not really sure why they chose this one. But hey, he's here. Black Hole is getting reprinted. Again, this is not a really expensive card. This is an uncommon from just set 9, so really quite recent. Popular in Blackbeard, but not necessarily a 4 in all builds by any means. But hey, it's getting reprinted, and hopefully we'll get a sick alt art, because this in the anime was really cool. I like this bit. We're also getting this Lore promo reprinted. We don't even have this Lore promo yet in the West. It's coming as a regional event promo, event pack promo, very, very soon. So that's why there's no prices, but I'm very glad that this is getting reprinted in PRB as well, because this will be popular in Green Yellow Lore, in Yellow Kid, and likely in Purple Yellow Rosinante as well. So the fact that this is only going to be expensive as an event promo for maybe a couple months is a very good choice by Bandai. Here's a manga style event of the Come On We'll Fight You. Weird inclusion, but hey, I'm a big Shanks fan, I'm here for it. This looks really, really nice. I'm definitely going to be wanting to get one of these. I love these manga style event cards. They look so good. Probably my favourite cards in the game so far, aesthetic-wise. And I'm pleased my boy Shanks has got not just one in Divine Departure, but he's getting 2. What a guy. And in terms of new cards, we've got this Luffy. This is a 4/5/1k with the Supernova and Straw Hat Crew types. Your turn on play. If your leader is multicolored and your opponent has 7 or less Don on the field, at the start of your opponent's main phase, your opponent rests one of their active Don. So this functionally, at least the way I'm reading it, is a Straw Hat Crew version of like the 5-cost Bonnie that can freeze a Don, but it can only freeze a Don, it can't freeze a character, and it has this clause so that the opponent has to have 7 or less. So at the end of the game, this doesn't do anything. I'm not really sure on this one. I mean, giving Green-Purple Luffy more tools is always concerning, but I don't see you playing this anywhere else. In GY Lore or Bonnie, I feel like you're much more likely to play the 5-cost Bonnie. So this, I think, really is just a Green-Purple Luffy card. And he's got good 4 costs to compete with, right? You've got the Zorojiro, you've got the Green Zoro. I think this is going to be one that you're going to need to play with and sort of see how it feels. So I could see this being insane, but I could also see this being quite mid. So it's going to be a waiting game to see how good this card is, I think. Next up, we've got Lucky Roo. He's a 4/2/1k with the Red Hair Pirates type. He's a blocker, and on play you can trash a character with 6,000 or more power from your hand, draw 2. So the good, well, this gives Shanks more filter, and Shanks does play a lot of powerful characters, so this should be live the majority of the time. However, you've got competition. You're obviously competing with the other Lucky Roo, who is also a 4-cost blocker. with a very, very powerful effect. And you're also competing with the 5-cost Rayleigh, who can trash anything but does rely on your opponent's board being a certain way. I think this is definitely one that will see experimentation in Shanks. Not sure it will become a mainstay, just because Shanks' 4-cost blockers are very powerful already. But it's a decent little option nonetheless, and it's not locked to Shanks, but quite a lot of the red decks you see are not playing that many characters with more than 6,000 power. I mean, you look at like Rayleigh, for example, most of his characters have 4,000 power or less by design, and Zorro is much the same. Bonnie is an interesting new card, 3/3/1k, Supernova's Bonnie Pirates. She's a blocker, and on your opponent's attack once per turn, you can restand 1 Don. So this is sort of, I think, an upgrade on a Rouge, but it's either a side grade or an upgrade, right? Obviously, the stat line, way worse, but is playable off Kid, which is something to note, and doesn't restand the Don at the end of your turn, but that lets you play around Hody Jones. So if you had an Arouge, you restand 1 Don, Hody Jones comes in and rests that Don, also rests the Arouge for what it's worth. But if you've got Bonnie, if they play the Hody and rest the Bonnie, then they attack, you can then use the Bonnie's effect, as long as she is not removed, to restand a Don, and then rest on the same like attack interaction with the Bonnie leader effect. It is worth noting that if this Bonnie gets removed, you're not going to get to restand a Don at all, which is a bit dodgy. But I think it's an interesting option, and it's going to sort of depend on where the meta's at, if Hody Jones is more worth playing around, or removal is more worth playing around, to decide how she compares to a Rouge. But it is really, really nice that you can play this off Kid, because it costs 3. Next up, we've got Ace and Sabo and Luffy, a 1/1/2k, with the Goa Kingdom type. Activate main, you may trash this character and give 1 active Don card to one of your leader or characters. Give one of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 for the turn. So this is power creep on Otama, right? You can play this, and as long as you know it's not going to get removed, you can just pre-jack it, leave it on the board, and then on the next turn, or even a turn down the line, you can use his effect, give 1 Don, more likely to your leader, because we do have some powerful Don X1 leader effects, and then give something minus 3. Also, can even just attack into, like, little tap searchers, like the Bonnie Searcher or a Momo Searcher, which is pretty cool. I think the deck where this is going to make the most sense is Marco. Marco always wants 1 Don on his leader, so this being minus 3, and then that cost of attaching a Don, it doesn't really matter, because Marco always wants a Don anyway. So that's effectively minus 5k, which is kind of nuts on a 2k. This is only 1k more than Otama, but it's still 1k more, and the fact that you can put this on the board on a different turn and just leave it there, just gives it more flexibility. You also might see this in Red Yellow Sabo. Sabo not typically a power down type deck, but he does want a Don on his leader, and this is a very reasonable 2k to play, I think. Next up, we had Mr. 3 Galdino, 2/1/1k with the Cross Guild and former Baroque Works type. This effect can be activated when your character is rested by your opponent's effects. You may trash his character and draw 2, and he's a blocker. So this is like a different kind of chump blocker with anti-removal effects. We've seen blockers that give you effects on KO. We've seen blockers that can't be removed. This is a blocker that effectively can't be rested, because if they rest it, well, you get to draw 2, and that could be 4k counter. How popular this is, I think entirely depends on how popular rest effects are when this comes out. But looking ahead at Japan's OP12 format, Usahachi is everywhere. Green Zorro is resting everything. So this could be a very reasonable inclusion in the buggy deck. And next up, we've got more Purple Straw Hat support. This is what everyone was calling for. Purple Straw Hat has been one of the most underpowered archetypes in the game for years. Since the dawn of time, we've been looking at Purple Straw Hat and going, man, this archetype sucks. Bandai, just give us more search. We only have 16 searchers already. We need another. This is 2/2 Nami, 1k counter. Straw Hat crew, on play, top 5 search for Straw Hat, other than herself. Add it to your hand. Then bottom the rest. And she also has a trigger play for the road. What a time to be alive. So in mono purple, you're competing with, of course, Law, and when you're at sea, you fight against pirates. She does search deeper than both of those, and can get 1 costs, which Law notably can't get giant, but Nami can get giant. However, it is worth noting that a 2-cost searcher is significantly more effort to put in than a 1-cost. It's harder to fit in on random turns, and obviously you can't play it on that first turn going first. However, I think we're very likely to see Nami see success, in maybe some of these leaders. Obviously, green-purple Luffy does also have the 1-cost Nami, and the fact that the 1-cost Nami and the 2-cost Nami wouldn't be able to search each other is a little bit dodgy. But I think you're very likely to see at least experimentation in all 3 of these, and I would not be surprised to see this make the list in all 3 of these. Next up, we've got 451k Shiryu. If your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates type, this character gains blocker and +4 cost. On KO, if your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates type, KO a 4. This is like Blackbeard's version of Lucky Roo. Lucky Roo is great in Shanks. I imagine this Shiryu will be pretty damn good in Blackbeard. The fact you can summon this off 5-cost Kuzan is also very nice. And the fact this becomes an 8-cost does mean it's harder for your opponent to rest it. Although a lot of the rest cards that are not on plays, because obviously Blackbeard turns those off, can sort of rest anything. Big one is the Dead Man's Game in OP12. That will rest Shiryu, and he will just kind of sit there and not do anything. But still, I think a really good card, and definitely one I would be playing over the Sanhuan Wolf from the most recent starter deck. Next up, we got Otama. She's a 2/02k with the Land of Guano type. Activate main, you can rest this character and take a life. Up to one of your leaders or characters gains 3,000 for the turn. And she also has a trigger to rest a 4. Obviously, this is going to be mainly a Yamato card. Yamato is really the only deck that's going to want to take its life to get this kind of extra power at the start of the game. Playing this out on 2 could be really, really nice. We've seen people playing Tonoyasu recently, who's a 2/1k, that you trash him and give your Wano leader a plus 3,000 power. Very similar. Obviously, Tonoyasu doesn't make you take a life, but he then goes. Otama sort of sits there, and then your opponent's got to deal with her. Otherwise, you can use that effect again. And of course, she's a 2k, so not even dead in hand. I imagine you would probably play this over Tonoyasu, but I think you would definitely need to test which is better. However, I think this is a pretty cool card for Yamato, at least. And last up, we've got some Dons. Got the Shanks Don, got the Bonnie Don, and we've got the Luffy Don. Not gonna lie, man, this Shanks Don goes so hard. I wish the deck wasn't ass now, but here we are. I know there's gonna be some Italians after this Pizza Don, and the Luffy one looks pretty cool too. I prefer this to the Eye Luffy that we got last time. I think this one looks so much cleaner. We've also got a Buggy Don, which I much prefer to the current Buggy Don. A Blackbeard Don, which, I don't know, I think the current Blackbeard Don we've got at the moment looks pretty good too. And we've got another Yamato Don. Yamato getting a Don in both PRBs, pretty cool. And this one with the mask looks pretty sick. Now that we have confirmation that at least some EBO1 cards are getting reprinted, I think this is looking very, very good for a Cavendish reprint. Obviously, nothing confirmed yet, but this is currently sitting at nearly $40 in America and around £20 in the EU. This is ridiculous. Like, this card is so good. He's playing Bonnie. He's playing GY Law. It's going to see playing Zoro. If you're a Supernova, you're playing this card, and it's a really key part of the deck. So I really, really hope this gets a reprint in PRB02. But it's not confirmed yet. But what is confirmed is that it's getting a reprint in the Learn Together deck set LDO1. So this was leaked in the Big One Piece Discord. This is from like a retailer event. They go to this and they get a little bit of behind the scenes information on some upcoming products. And this is in this product, you're going to get 3 decks, and it's designed to teach people the game. And you've got the SC21 Luffy, the Green Zoro, and the Blue-Yellow Nami. And each of these decks is going to have a deck list. We don't have those confirmed yet. Nobody has leaked the full deck lists just yet. But we do have the information that the Green Zoro Secret Rare, Monkey D. Dragon, and the Blue Nami Blocker are going to be getting reprinted in the extra pack that they reference just here on point 2 of these decks. And we also have confirmation from these messages in the Big One Piece Discord. I've blurred out the names for their privacy, of course, but they have confirmed that the Cavendish is being reprinted in the extra pack. I have heard that this is just a one-off, but literally any reprint of Cavendish right now is a good thing. Moving on, Bon Clay. This is actually not that bad in Europe, about £25. However, $57 in the States is ridiculous. You see this card in blue purple Luffy, you see him in purple Luffy. This guy's been in a bunch of different purple decks since he's been out, and people have been clamoring for a reprint of this for quite a while now. I would be very, very surprised if this is not in PRB02, but hey, stranger things have happened, right? Last time we didn't get the Black Sabo Blocker reprinted, And that card at the time was like $25 or £25 for an SR. Stranger things have happened, but I think the signs do look good for the Bonclay reprint. One that sort of doesn't need a reprint as much anymore is Brook, although I think we will still likely see a reprint of this. We have had an alt art revealed that's come out in Japan that we haven't yet had yet. It's like a black and white style alt art. It's currently sitting around $17 on player and £9 in the EU on card market. I think very likely to see a reprint. Been popular in Lucci, Black Smoker, any black deck really has been playing this. Even the Saka Usopp builds of Usopp, which was pretty cool to see. Although definitely looking ahead at OP11 and OP12 with the starter decks. Lucci doesn't seem to be seeing as much success just yet. So maybe not as necessary as it was maybe like a set or two ago. Chopper is an all-star in Zoro. Zoro has been playing the Zoro build for a while now with all the choppers. And this is really the expensive card. It's come down a little bit. It's just under $20 in the States and £10 in the EU. So a bit more affordable, but still much higher than I would like to see for just an SR. And I think one, if they are just going to reprint a lot of EBO1, I think this is really one they should consider reprinting. And one card that needs reprinting, but I don't think will be just because of timings, is this Rush Luffy. So my gut tells me that the final list for PRB02 will have been finalized before this card was released and started seeing great success. You never know, and my fingers are crossed, but I don't think this is going to get a reprint. And look at these prices, man. £40 on card market. Nearly $100 on TCG Player. It's crazy. I pulled the trigger on some alt arts last week. I managed to get an alt art for just under £50 and another alt art for just under £60, which I wasn't thrilled by, but man, looking at the American prices especially, sheesh. This set, EBO2, has just had a very small reprint in the UK. My local store got a few more boxes, not a crazy amount, but enough that I was able to buy an extra box. So I am hopeful that this might drop a little bit, but with how successful both Green Purple and Black Purple Luffy have been recently, playing this card, I wouldn't count my chickens, and I would not count my chickens on a PRB02 reprint, sadly. So that's it for this video, just a quick roundup of the reprints that have been confirmed, the new cards that are coming out in PRB02, and my hopes for a few more. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.